niggas that's left.
Wow.
You know, one thing.
I see where you're going with it.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of sleepy. Like you said, it's calm and sleepy.
Yeah.
Don't get caught slipping. Don't sleep out here because shit ain't sweet. Because a lot of breaking and entering.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of crazy shit going on.
Wow. I didn't even think. Damn, I've been living here 10 years and wow.
So, right,
Never
you know what I'm saying?
Like that.
You know, Atlanta, and a lot of respect too to Decatur, because Decatur is literally right next to Atlanta, and it's like second biggest city probably within the perimeter next to Atlanta. When you leave out, these people, they going further into DeKalb, they going into further out north in South Fulton, they going into Cobb, they going out to Gwinnett, they going out to Henry, they going out to Cherokee, they going out to Coweta County, they going out. You know what I'm saying? Some people even live as far as out as Clark County, which is like Athens.
That's like Athens, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Rockdale County. You know what I'm saying? You pass Panola Road, you pass Lithonia, and you in East Georgia. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know, Marietta, Canton. You know.
Right. And Canton is north of Atlanta, right?
Yeah, that's past Kennesaw. You know
Damn, it's that far?
Yeah, that shit. That's the mountains. That's the mountains. Then you get into that mountain terrain. You know, further south, you know, you Clayco, then you go into Fayetteville and all that, you know, anything that's within an hour drive to and from Atlanta is Metro Atlanta.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Which is why the traffic is the way, well, largely due to how it is, you know what I'm saying? Because people come in and they get out. And if you notice, if you go into these other counties when you're dealing with their public transportation systems, up until maybe a year or two ago with a lot of these counties, you know, they only running like once an hour during these peak hours of work time.
Wow, really?
And then, you know, weekends, the service is even more limited. Even in Gwinnett, there still is no Sunday service. Cobb just got Sunday service.
And you think that's by design? Like, that's not...
Yeah, because they think they'll... reading the newspapers or
they'll keep the problem out.
Yeah, like being somebody who's graduated from Gwinnett County Public School System, you know, the attitudes of like the kids, the teachers, shit. Even with the it's not just the white people, it's black people too. Like, you know, it's to keep the problem out. They don't want to limit the access, limit certain things. Like, really too, just to be transparent as well, you know, in points of struggle that I've had within recent years at times, you know, looking for like maybe some financial assistance, you know, with bills or whatever like that, depending on where you live. Like, I know specifically in Fulton County, you're less likely to have less resources allocated through certain nonprofits if you live in South Fulton. Versus North Fulton, what the fuck they need resources for?
That's where the money is, right?
That's the money of Sandy I mean, it's to a point where you got a place like Johns Creek who's looking to separate from Fulton County and create Milton County. This has been a fight for years because they don't want the resources and the association with South Fulton. For people who don't know, North Fulton is the more affluent, more white part of the county. South Fulton, past down Atlanta, is College Park, East Point, Palmetto, Fairburn, South Fulton. That's where the niggas live. That's where the niggas be at.
I like how you put that. Wow. So what about gentrification? Let's talk about it.
What about it?
I mean, I guess my thing is, I feel like someone might say, well, damn, I thought, you know, white people wanted to stay away. But if they're being gentrified, they actually want to come forward.
I think
and take your shit, right?
I think gentrification is not about voluntary integration because people want to be more cultured. Gentrification has all to do with shit is so fucked up economically that to travel and to live further away from the city will hurt me more than living closer back in the inner city, because you had this whole period of white flight. Remember, like after World War II, between that and Vietnam, you know what I'm saying, where really, I feel like in that system of segregation, us as black folk and other darker skinned people, we were kind of forcing a way to create our own economies. We were able to start being able to compete and live in these nicer neighborhoods. That's why the whole mountain comment, they move further out.
Right.
But, you know, within the past 10, 15 years, you know, we had the quote unquote recession and all that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The housing crisis, you know, people couldn't necessarily afford.
Yeah, people committing suicide because their houses were foreclosed on.
You know what I'm saying? So you start. I'm just speaking from here because like places like New York and I'm pretty sure on the West Coast has been going on longer.
Oh
but
yeah.
People have started moving back closer into the cities. You know what I'm saying? So like with that, now that you know more white people returning, it's seen economically viable. Like, oh, is worth it to invest more into these communities. Let's redo these stadiums. Let's build these new attractions. Let these newer these corporations you know, establishing more headquarters here now. So now we have a burst in commerce and people wanting to live here. Right. So of course the property value is gonna go up. And just me speaking, like I used to live on Joseph E. Lowry, on Lowry, right by Parsons. Right, people who know, of course, that's right there by the AUC, Morehouse Clark campus. But that's also a known stroll for like prostitutes. Yeah. There's a lot of drug transaction over there and stuff like that. And I could tell you now, like, a lot of those houses within the neighborhoods of Ashview Heights, West End, Westview, going further up MLK, Mosley Park, Westlake, and stuff like a lot of those abandoned, desolate homes, they're getting bought up, they're getting knocked down, they're building condos, you know what I'm saying? The job isn't done yet, so it's weird because, like, I still be up and down Lowry. I'll drive down Lowry, you know, crossing over Joseph E. Boone, for example, adjacent to where, like, that Chevron and stuff is. It used to be a plaza where it was, like, a Family Dollar, a laundromat, a barbershop, and, of course, you know, it used to be like stray dogs, you know what I'm saying? You had the fiends out or whatever. They within like the past 5 years, they bought that property, knocked all that shit away. It's condos now. It's called, you know, mixed income communities. But like still on Boone, you on one side you have, you know, West Side Works and all this shit working with these properties, but then you still have these older homes that they haven't, you know, I guess the property owners, they still holding out for the city up their price so they can finally cash out. You know what I'm saying? And then them shit's gonna be gone too. Like if I used to stay in the Bluff for a little while. That's what you know what I'm saying?
You've been around.
I've been in and out all around 285. It's like the world. I've been in and out Ratchet, man. It's a world of itself, man. Right. And like, you know, I drove past Cameron Alexander like yesterday, on that corner right there on like going down like towards near Oliver Street and all that, and Cameron Alexander, you know, there's this known yellow corner store, real active. You know what I'm saying? A lot of that shit, I just seen that shit boarded up. I mean, that shit getting bought up. There's a school if you go up the side street, going towards Hollowell.
Formerly Bankhead, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like a lot of these names, they get changed with the streets. You know, Metropolitan Parkway.
Used to be Stewart Avenue.
Stewart Avenue, but really, when you think about it, you gotta look at like the highway, U.S. state highway numbers, because Metropolitan, the further north you go, turns into Northside Drive.
True.
That's gonna take you all the way up to Sandy Springs and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just Atlanta is weird like that. It tries to mask, you know, for the gentrification and other things, it'll mask certain shit by changing names changing the buildings,
Right.
but the history, the spirits are still there. A lot of people, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears have been shed on these in the soil. You know what I'm saying? That red clay is still there, and that's still unresolved. And we, you know, there's a lot of shady shit going on. Circling around, you know what I'm saying? Black Mecca and black progression, and you know we have all these black leaders in office and shit. But you know, they still, it's still like white state of mind of politics. You know, they still be quick, just as quick to kill black people in these streets. You know what I'm saying? The first song on my EP is called "The Rules." You know, kind of loosely inspired off the 10 Crack Commandments.
Okay.
But at but more spitting on the rules of survival. You know what I'm saying? Being out here in the streets, and I ended with a piece from a comrade of mine named Oscar Cain.
Speak on
you know what I'm saying? Oscar Cain, an activist born and raised in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? Grew up off of like Polo Rock and Cleveland Avenue and stuff like that.
That's right up the road.
You know what I'm saying? So I met him actually, coming back full circle. I met him back a few years ago when all these protests were going on, like, you know, with Eric Garner and Mike Brown. I actually took a break from music due to personal reasons, but I was getting more politically charged. You know, becoming more angry. I didn't know how to like organize, so I started like getting more involved in the activist scene.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is very cliquish and political, just like any other music political scene. But
for sure,
which plays a part into this. So through that I met Oscar Cain. You know what I'm saying? Overall, we vibed a lot. You know what I'm saying? We were around the same age. He had definitely been involved in political activism a lot longer, for years. He used to work with League of Young Voters. You know, he traveled up and down the East Coast. Just, you know, whether it's voter registration, just dealing with just rights of black people, all black people, not just black men, not just black women, all black people.
Right.
But the thing about him, he had such a swag. He was still so hood and street. He could connect. He could connect with non-profit heads that, you know, don't know shit about fuck. You know what I'm saying? They just there to get the grant money, but he could connect with the nigga from the block because that's where he came from. You know what I'm saying? And due to certain personal reasons, around 2015 or so, you know, he fell back from that. You know what I'm saying? And long story short, March 31st, 2019, he was shot and killed by Atlanta Police Department Sergeant Marquis Kelly. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Now, mind you, that date, that's the very same day that Nipsey Hussle
I was just about to say that, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
wow.
One of my frustrations with Atlanta, especially like if you're a sports fan, some of y'all can attest to this, Atlanta could be somewhat of a bandwagon city.
Oh, for sure.
Gravitate to what's popular.
For sure.
You know, gravitate to what's popular versus what's just true to the art. And I'm not saying that's the fault of a lot of people not knowing, but that's more of like the media as well as people in the activist community not speaking up about this, that, you know, that he was even shot and killed. I didn't find out till like 2-3 days later myself, to be honest. But
let me ask you something real quick. Do you feel as though the activism has been co-opted by the powers that be?
Oh,
like it's been totally.
I feel like it's always been to a degree. It's not nothing new, and we can get into that.
Yeah,
but
let's go there.
But you know, I just want to get a little bit more about Oscar Cain. You know what I'm saying? He was shot like 1 something in the morning.
Wow.
And you know they said that he had a weapon, and the thing about it is, Officer Kelly, his body camera was off. Now, if you listen to the bit that I have on the song, and it's on YouTube as well, you just gotta type in Oscar Cain Cam on Cops. That was the campaign when I got started involved in activism. It was the nonprofit I was affiliated with at the time. Their campaign was Cam on Cops, which was already a thing that was going to be passed through by the city anyway. But it's basically a measure to hold, quote unquote, police accountable by Atlanta police officers having to wear body cameras. You know what I'm saying? And if you listen to the clip and you listen to the song, Oscar questioned the news reporter who was talking to him at the Capitol, like, where's all the protocol? You know what I'm saying? Like, because we've seen where people, they supposed to have on their body cameras, but when something happens, all of a sudden it's turned off, the audio is missing, you know what I'm saying? And those officers at that time were still not being held accountable. Most police officers that we are aware of that, you know, kill black people, they get a little bit of administrative leave. It'd be
paid.
Yeah, it'd be 2 to 3 years before you hear anything else about it.
Right.
And then there's a trial, a very speedy trial, and there's no consequence. You know, they usually get off free. Which currently, that's the fear I have thus far with this, because not enough people are shedding light and speaking up about what happened to him. You know, he died of the very thing that he was fighting against. You know what I'm saying? The irony of that. So, my frustration specifically with organizations that ain't worth the fuck to even mention. Y'all know who the fuck y'all are.
Shots fired.
No, ain't no shots fired. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all ain't speak up on it. When everything happened, I'm gonna tell you a story. So, I found out about it on Tuesday evening. I found out that he died, and then I Googled it. I thought he died of another reason. And then I found out how he died. And I became enraged, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Silently. So what I did was, some of my other comrades who I worked with within that time period of knowing him, I sent a text message like, yo, listen, I plan on this Friday, I'm going to go to West End Park. I'm going to light some candles.